Om Sri Aurobindo, Mira is my refuge. Ma. Namaste, good evening, welcome all of you. Today we are going to have a short discussion on the topic surrender part 2. And this surrender, it will be discussed on the vast surrender of the Lord. Surrender of the Lord, known as the vast surrender. We will know little bit upon again about the vast surrender that was made by our Lord. Before going to the topic, I would like to discuss and focus something little bit on surrender. In proportion as the surrender and self-consecration progress, the sadhak becomes conscious of the divine Shakti doing the sadhana. Sadhaka becomes conscious of the divine Shakti doing the sadhana, pouring into him more and more of herself, founding in him the freedom and perfection of the divine nature. This will be the experience for the sadhaka. He will be able to know it and feel it and observe it. The more this conscious process replaces his own effort, two methods were there. When this conscious process is replacing his own effort, the more rapid and true becomes his progress. Because initially with his own effort, the progress was very slow. Now, when the conscious process has replaced his own effort, it has gained momentum. It will be speedier. More rapid and true becomes the progress, but it cannot completely replace the necessity of personal effort until the surrender and consecration are pure and complete from top to bottom. Entire 360-degree consecration and surrender. Unless it is done, very difficult. Entire thing will be difficult and it will take time. It will be delayed. Note that another surrender here in the speaks of a tamasic surrender. How is it? Tamasic surrender, refusing to fulfill the conditions. Some conditions are there, but tamasic surrender refuses to fulfill the conditions and calling on God to do everything. He is calling on God to do everything and save when all the trouble and struggle is a deception and does not lead to freedom and perfection. So this tamasic surrender is not at all expected in the part of the progressive sadhana or in the sadhana who is in the dynamic path, in the progressive path. Against Aurobindo speaks, surrender of oneself and all one is and has and every plane of the consciousness and every moment to the divine and the Shakti. Surrender to the divine and the Shakti in full power, in full pressure, in full speed and everything 360-degree, entire from top to bottom it is required. Couple of lines just we'll see, then we'll go for the fast surrender that was done by Sri Aurobindo. By the master, we'll see. The self-surrender, another type of surrender is self-surrender to the divine and the infinity mother. This self-surrender, when we are doing self-surrender to the divine and the infinity mother, however difficult, remains our only effective means and our soul abiding refuge. That is self-surrender to the divine and the divine mother. That is the only thing that remains effective means and our soul abiding refuge. So it is very much effective. One thing I can remember to those, sometimes we need, one beautiful example is there when sometimes we speak buy one get three. Buy one get three, this type of offer normally we see in the marketing people in the material world. Sri Aurobindo also quotes a thing that is almost equivalent, we'll see it. To those who demand from him, God gives what they demand. People go to temple, they pray for the divine, they ask for the gifts. Whatever they ask, usually God fulfills. To those who demand from him, God gives them what they demand. But other people, they go, they pray, they adore, they consecrate, but ask nothing. What about them? But to those who give themselves, perfectly they give themselves absolute surrender, they surrender themselves, and they demand nothing. They not demand nothing. Then what they get? He gives everything what they might otherwise have asked. If the initial person, the first category people who demand whatever they demand, God fulfills. Second category of sadhakas, the people who are going, they give themselves but ask nothing. So for them, God gives what they would have otherwise asked, and with them, with that demand, they are asking. Of course, they have not asked, but their demand, what is their, they should have asked. It is fulfilled. Another two more gifts, by additional gifts are given, but they are. And in addition, he gives himself, first gift. Second one is, and the spontaneous boon of his love. Those people, initial first category of people, they go and ask. What they ask, it is fulfilled. God gives them. Second category of people, they give themselves but ask nothing. For them, God fulfills. God gives what they would have asked. And additionally, two other boons God gives. He gives himself and the spontaneous boon of his love. So, if it is up to us to go or ask, or simply we have to surrender and God has to fulfill. If we have to ask, only what we will ask, that will be fulfilled. If we will not ask but to surrender, God will fulfills our necessities. He will give himself and he will pour on ourselves the spontaneous boon of his love. The supreme demand surrender to her. It is the demand. Naturally, there will be a demand. Supreme demands is surrender. You are surrendered to her, but does not impose it. You are free at every moment till the irrevocable transformation comes to deny and to reject or divine or yourself, recalling your self-giving, anything you are free. But one thing that Sri Aurobindo also quotes, you have the freedom to withdraw yourself, but definitely divine has not that freedom. So be prepared, anytime he will come and you will receive him. Because his arrival is certain, he can never turn away from us. Now itself, the topic of discussion, the vast surrender, we are going to see the master surrender, how it was. Sri Aurobindo writes, all he had done was to prepare a field. Till now, what he had done was to prepare a field. Without base, no index can stand. So whatever the sadhana, whatever the methods, whatever the steps he had taken, how far he has gone, only was to prepare a field. When the field was prepared, then what happened? His small beginnings asked for a mighty end. His beginning was very small, very initial stage, very feebly it was started. But after that, what happened? His small beginnings asked for a mighty end. This beginning, it was awaiting the mighty end. So it demanded, asked for a mighty end. For all that he had been must be new shape, must now new shape in him, the joy to embody, to enshrine. So this was the position. For all he had been, whatever he had been, must now new shape. Original shape must be reshaped. It will occupy one new shape. It will have a new shape at all. In him, her joy to embody. Her means the divine mother's joy to embody, to enshrine. Then what happened? Her beauty and greatness in his house of life. But her beauty and her greatness in his house of life, it was the expectation, it has to come. So this thing he asked, he wanted, and without this, perfection would not be attained, because what he had asked, this is a small beginning only he started, but finally it asked for a mighty end. But his being was too wide for self. Initially, we know Sri Aurobindo, he came and he stayed in Pondicherry. Finally, she told, mine was the Sri Aurobindo. In Sri Aurobindo's original word, mine was the side door entry into the spiritual life. Two clues had been given that by the Nagai Pattam, that sadhu, to his disciple Iyengar. Two hints, when they asked where we shall go, then he gave two hints. One, northbound yogi, Uttar yogi is coming. Then two symptoms. Then next question, that how we will be in a position to know him. There was two hints. It was given by Nagai. So he told, this yogi must be a northbound yogi. He will come to south seeking the refuge, first thing. And Sri Aurobindo was there. He came from Chandannagar, who the way, and it was the inner call was there. That command, their direction was there. So he traveled from Chandannagar to Pondicherry. Second, that he will be having three sayings. So people mostly feel that three madnesses, his letter to his to Mridhaniri Devi, that three madness, people feel these are the three symptoms and the two overall two things, northbound yogi and the three sayings. It indicated that Sri Aurobindo qualifies and it is the person Sri Aurobindo, nobody else. But now his being was too wide for self. His single freedom could not satisfy, because he is ever liberated soul. He is immortal in his mortality. He is divine, but here opens, wears the shape of animal man. He has come. He has come to this struggling and death-bound world. He has sacrificed his divine sacrifice. He is the victim of his own sacrifice, immortal, bound to earth's mortality. He has come here. He is suffering here. He is accepting the mortal ignorance. He is a search of ignorance, search of darkness for the life, for mortal life, for immortality. So he is searching for immortality. He is searching for darkness, light. Inside this great darkness, he is searching for light. Inside this great staring, great echo, roaring of the dark death, he is searching to, or he is interested in getting the questing for immortality. Here Sri Aurobindo writes, his heart's demand had grown immeasurable. So immeasurable, you can imagine, even if his beginning was a very small beginning. His single freedom could not satisfy. He asked the greater freedom of the soul at large, of the human being, of the world. So what he did then? Her light, her bliss, he asked for earth and men. Here two coming. Initially her light and her bliss, two. He asked for earth and men. Then, but vain are his power, human power and human love. Initially we see two, light and bliss. Asked for earth and men, these are two. But vain are the human power and human love, they are also two. To break the earth seals of the ignorance and death, here also too. So I want to quote it. Her light and her bliss, he asked for earth and men, but vain are the human power and human love to break earth's seal of ignorance and death. Then what happened? Everything is failing. Earthly nature filled with ignorance and death. Human power and human love are vain. So he is asking for light and bliss. What is the position there? His nature's might seemed now infant's grasp. Could not be, is not that great. Still now he is at the peak. Still then his nature's might seemed now an infant's grasp. Heaven was too high for his outstretched hands to seize. He is raising his hand, he is just outstretching his hand, but heaven is too high, unreachable for him. This shows here in the quotes here, Lord quotes here, this power comes not by struggle or by thought. Even by struggle or by thought, this power never comes. Then how it will come? In the mind's silence, the transcendent acts. The condition of the transcendent to act in the mind silence only, hushness, 100% silence. And the host heart hears the unuttered sound, unuttered word. The word that is yet unuttered, only it will be heard by the host heart. A vast, then Sri Aurobindo speaks of, a vast surrender was his only strength, there was no other go. Then Sri Aurobindo quotes, a power that leaps upon the heights must act, not of the here, of the height it is there, it will act. Bring into life's closed door the immortal's air. Immortal air has to come into life's closed door and fill the finity with the infinity. Then what will happen? If there is a denial, there is a resistance. All that denies must be torn out or slain, and crushed at the many longings for whose sake we lose the life. We lose the one for whom our lives were made. Many longings will be crushed, torn out, slain, because that resists must be torn out, crushed and slain. So for that, this vast surrender is necessary to bring. Thank you.